Thank you for joining us today for Imagine 2021 day session with our very own alumnus, Quindell Williams. This is one of the many day sessions offered to students this week during the Imagine 2021 program sponsored by the President's Office, Career Services, and Oswego Alumni Association. My name is Kayla Holly. I'm in my junior year, double majoring in public relations and business administration. A little bit about me is I'm the current president of the Public Relations Student Society of America on campus. This semester, we're hosting professionals from the public relations industry almost every week. So after graduation, I hope to find myself at a public relations agency in some big city. So far in the Imagine 2021 program, I have loved hearing from Anthony DeMario the first week, learning more about myself through the Myers-Briggs assessment the second week, and I'm excited to learn from Quindell tonight. This session is a part of week 4 of the Imagine 2021 program, which is a 5-week program focused on giving students in the class of 2020 the chance to explore career paths, find job internship opportunities, network with alumni, and more. Check out the website for more details. The link is being dropped in the chat. And if you complete 3 items on the weekly checklist, you'll be eligible for the drawing. The direct link to the checklist is also in the chat. And now, I am so excited to tell you about today's speaker, Quindell Williams. Quindell graduated from SUNY Oswego in 2011 with his Bachelor of Arts in Broadcasting and Mass Communications. He is currently an educator teaching drone technology to high school students. Prior to his career change in education, he worked as a photojournalist and licensed drone pilot at CNY Central for 8 years, where he has earned Emmy Awards for his work. And with that, please join me in welcoming Quindell Williams.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thanks for listening if you're watching the record now. And thank you, Laura and Carisha and Kayla and Stephanie for inviting me. So I appreciate that. I'm just gonna kind of give you my presentation here. Just give me one quick second to pull it up. Okay, so I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about networking and kind of building your resume now. You know, as a college student, as you guys are all college students, you know, you don't have to wait until you are out of college or until you earn that degree to start building that resume. I mean, you could even start building your resume way before you even enter college. But I really wanted to just focus on what the power of networking does and how to, you know, what you should do in order to build your resume currently to make yourself more, I guess, marketable for any career or job that you're looking to get into. So just a quick bit about me. Again, my name is Quindell Williams. Most people call me Q, so feel free to do that if you like. 2011 alum of Oswego, where I earned my degree in broadcasting and mass media communications. Currently a second-year teacher teaching drone technology in the Syracuse City School District. And prior to that, I had a broadcasting career as a photojournalist and certified drone pilot. And these lovely people in these pictures, in this picture here is my family, my wife Jamira, and my 2 boys, Josiah and Kyle, who kind of keep me on my toes. So just a background on my education. I grew up in the city of Syracuse. So I went through the Syracuse City School District public school system. And then I went to Onondaga Community College, where I earned my electronic media communications degree in 2008. And then again, I transferred to SUNY Oswego and earned my broadcasting, my bachelor's degree there. And so while at OCC is kind of where I found my passion for TV and radio. I always knew that I enjoyed, you know, doing things with TV and radio. I never really quite thought it would be something that I would get into as a career. So my first year of college, or, you know, like many students, you know, I was trying to look for something to study where, I could earn a great living and earn, six figures, and the list goes on. So I kind of ignored my passion or my like for TV and radio, and until I kind of stumbled upon it at OCC. Once I got to OCC and started, touching the radio boards and the audio boards and the cameras and the microphones, I just kind of fell in love with it, and I just wanted to be in class every day, so I stuck with that. um, and so that was kind of my first taste of, okay, well, maybe I can do this, I can do something with this. While at OCC, I ended up, along with other students, creating the first internet radio station on that campus. And then I did some other things to kind of help, build my resume. Um, I entered the Disney College Program internship, where I spent 6 months working in Disney World in Orlando, Florida. Met some great people there, did some great things, had a good time. Um, Also through my time at OCC, because I was so passionate about my classwork there. A couple of my instructors linked me up with some freelance work, working for ESPN at some of the local football and basketball games broadcasted on TV or ESPN and ABC. So I would do a lot of SU sports, SU basketball, Final Four stuff, SU football, some lacrosse, just anything to kind of build that that resume, but also to build that network. And a lot of these opportunities came from just my network, people who knew something that was happening, and tried to put me onto those opportunities. So you'll see that kind of be a common thread in my career as I continue on in this presentation. When I transferred to Oswego, aside from my studies, I again wanted to build my, not just build my resume, but I wanted to be a part of things that that I was passionate about, and that I could do to connect with others, and again continue to build my resume and build my network. So because I did TV and radio at OCC, I did some TV and radio stuff at Oswego. So involving myself in WTOP TV, and the news production, and I also hosted a TV show. And then I did a lot with WNYO. I was the marketing director for a year, and I also hosted my own radio show. Um, some R&B, throwback music, and so that was fun. And then I also was a part of the Black Student Union, advocating for Black and Brown students while a student on Oswego's campus was something that I was really, really passionate about. So as I entered Oswego, I was first a constituent, and then eventually I became the director of marketing while on BSU. And I was also instrumental in helping to create the first BSU scholarship, endowed scholarship 10 years ago, that is currently there. And I also was a founding contributor to the Alana Peace Walk that started 10 years ago. So that just celebrated its 10th year this year. So, as a student, again, I wanted to do something that was going to advocate for students of marginalized communities, students that I relate to, students who had a voice and who have a voice. And so that was one of the things that I was able to do as a student, and to kind of see that mature 10 years later as an alum is great to see. And then lastly, I was also, as a transfer, um, I was I became a transfer student. I got into the Transfer Student Honor Society, Tau Sigma, and I presided as a president there for a year. Again, advocating for transfer students and things like that.
I just have a quick question here
Yeah,
for you, if you don't mind. So about your internships that you did, it was asked, how did you prove your value at each of the early internships and jobs to get the most out of them and stand out to your supervisors? Do you have any tips for students in similar roles to maximize their experiences at internships?
yeah. I mean, internship, you're really just looking to do things that excite you, right? If you're gonna do an internship, do it because it's something that you want to be a part of, or some people also do internships to see if it's something that they might not like. But since I already knew kind of what I wanted to do, I tried to find internships that would be fun and engaging for me. So it wasn't just like, oh, I'm going to work, or I'm just doing these daily tasks that are meaningless or to some, but really just going and just trying to stand out, asking questions, picking people's brains who've been there for years. How did you do this? How did you start? And most often people like to talk about their journey. So just uh, appearing interested and being interested in the job, and not only within the job that you're doing as an intern, but others as well. Just being very curious about that. So I would say that was definitely one. What was the other part of the question? I'm sorry.
Just how you proved your value to to your supervisors at your internship. Like, how do you prove to them that you belong there?
Yeah, just you know showing up every day. People like to work with someone who's professional, showing up every day, showing up on time, ready to work. Um, Even if you're making mistakes, or quite get it, or maybe it's not for you, but um, you know employers like to see someone who's ready to work and ready to contribute to the team, and not so much as how what is this going to do for me, but what are you going to do for the team to help us all elevate. So I would say that was kind of how I was able to show my value in a company. um, and as an intern, I was only at the Disney internship for 6 months. I worked at Animal Kingdom, so that didn't really relate to my job or my career path in TV. But Disney owns ESPN and ABC, so maybe it kind of correlates a little bit. But I really just did that internship because I just wanted to go to Disney World for for 6 months and have a good time. It was a lot of work, but I still went and had a good time. But it was also a great resume builder, um, and something that honestly, when I put it on my resume, and as you see the media summit here, there were a few. There was at least one alum who came back to campus who, when I spoke to them, that was the first thing that they noticed on my resume. They're like, "Oh, I did that too. I was a part of the college program." So we bonded in that way, and he gave me some tips, and some things that we kept in touch, um, and he helped me in a way to kind of find other opportunities, maybe not in the area that he was particularly in or where he was located at, but I was able to maintain that relationship because we found a common bond, not only in being Oswego students, but also in that college program at Disney.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
Yep, no problem. Sorry, and if I get long-winded, just shut me up, and I could keep going or stop, whatever you need. So yeah, so just talking about the media summit, again, finding these opportunities in places where I know that maybe I don't quite know where I want to take this media thing, but hey, let me figure out the people who are in this already, who are coming back to our campus. The media summit is a big thing that happens on our school campus, so definitely connecting with people who once sat in the place that you sat as a student, and now are professionals who are willing to give back, willing to network, willing to kind of give that hand up to the next level of, after school, because they were there at one point as well. Also, while at Oswego, I interned at the NAP. It was a 3-day conference in Las Vegas. It's called NAPI, the National Association of Television Program Executives. So a lot of the people that I interned with who are now, doing amazing things. At least one of the individuals that I did the internship with, she's now a 5-time Emmy award-winning producer for ESPN. And this is just like a lot of people when we were students who have grown to be professionals, and I still was able to manage and keep those connections. Definitely social media has helped a lot, because I'm not one to call people and check on them all the time, but definitely social media and connecting with those individuals, and still having a relationship based on something that happened 10 years ago, um, is also awesome. And then career fairs and job fairs was definitely something that was very instrumental in my career and starting my career in media. Um, so as I'm going through school, I'm building my resume. So when it's time for that career fair, I have something to put on it, right? I have some tangible, meaningful experience, whether it's in the groups and organizations that I've done things with, or the internships, or whatever it may be. Because I'm not actually working and I'm a student, employers like to see that, which leads me to uh, Laura Han, who I actually met at a career fair at at Oswego. Um, Laura Han, who's now she worked for CNY Central for at least 40 plus years. She just retired the same, I guess actually the same month that I left the station to become a teacher. Laura was very instrumental in getting my foot in the door at CNY Central. I met her at the career fair. Before I even gave her my resume, I just was intrigued by her, right? I asked her, what she does. Oh, I recognize you from TV. Nice to meet you. What do you do? I engaged her, right? As opposed to, there's other students who were there just kind of, hey, oh, TV, I want to do that. Here's my resume. But in order to stand out, and in order to get someone to remember you, you have to find a way to set yourself apart from the crowd, because obviously, at a career fair, she's probably getting hundreds, dozens, if not hundreds of resumes throughout the day. So I thought the best way for me to stand out to her was to be more interested in the job that she does, right? Once I, chatted her up and spoke my piece. Not for too long. I eventually gave her my resume, and she made some type of mental note. That was in January of 2011, and I completely forgot about it. Actually, when I graduated from, uh, when I left Oswego, I didn't have a job lined up, and I was actually terrified. Like when I left, I was like, okay, it's May. I'll take some time off, and then maybe I'll start putting in applications. But what ended up happening was, after June kind of went by and then July started to come and I started to get a little nervous, I got a call from CNY Central saying like, hey, um, we have your resume that Laura Han gave us back in January. We want to know if you would be willing to come in for an interview. So again, building those networks led to an opportunity. Now, I didn't speak to her in that 5 months time period, but I was able to find a way to stand out and set myself apart. And as you can see, her and I, great great colleagues, great friends, because she grew to be a great mentor to me as well as I moved through the ranks at CNY Central. So that led to my any questions? I see a couple questions popping up. I can pause here.
Yeah. Yeah, just a really quick question, if you don't mind. It's kind of about the networking piece that you just talked about. So what are some tips that you have for students who might they may be shy to network or find it intimidating? How can they make those connections and overcome the awkwardness of kind of approaching a stranger?
Yeah, like I said, um, be more interested in that individual in that job. If you know that a particular job or company is coming to a career fair, for instance, do the research, right? Okay, hey, I know I want to hit X, Y, and Z. Um, let me think about this company. Let me do a little bit of research on this company. That way I have some talking points, right? Um, if it gets to that awkward moment of, well, okay, all right, nice to meet you. See you later. You have some kind of talking points that, hey, I saw that, on your website, you guys, you have a drone program. I've been interested in drones. What is that like? And more often than not, people like to talk about their company or their job, and especially if that's what they're there for, right? If they're coming there for a career fair, they're there to talk up their company. They're there to recruit and find the next person that's going to elevate that company to the next level. So it's really about finding ways to, again, set yourself apart from the large crowd, because they're going to have many people coming in who's going to be dressed nice. They're going to have a flashy smile. They're going to have the nice resume on the beautiful paper. But all of that is great, and you should be prepared for that. Definitely, you should be doing that. But what is it going to be? What are you going to do to set yourself apart, to bring yourself to the next level? So I again would say, I didn't know a whole lot about Laura Hand, but I knew I recognized her on TV because I grew up in Syracuse. So I knew her enough to say, oh, I know this lady's name. Um, I recognize her on TV. I've seen her often on TV. So, let me chat her. Let me ask her about who she is, why she's, decided to be in this field for, at that time, 30 plus years. What keeps her passionate about the job that she does um, over that period of time. And, more often than not, they like to tell their story.
That's great advice. Thank you.
No problem. Was there another question?
Not yet, but I'll let you know if there's another one that comes in.
All right. Okay, so that networking experience with Laura Hand led me to my first job in TV. So about 8.5 years, 9 years. I I knew that I wanted to do something cool. I thought I wanted to be on TV, but I figured, hey, I better learn kind of the behind the scenes stuff, and that's kind of what I did. I started out in Master Control, which is kind of the brains of the the TV station. Basically, it's kind of the hub where everybody does their piece, it comes to the Master Control, and it's the last point where it goes out to the viewing public. So I don't know if you ever watch TV and you're just randomly watching a show, and then a commercial comes on, or it's supposed to come on, but then there's like 30, 5 or 10 seconds of black space, black air, and you're like, well, what's going on? It's probably because somebody at Master Control just took a little snooze and they forgot to hit the button. And I've done that plenty of times. But I started my career in Master Control, not the funnest job. You kind of in this box and nobody knows you. I was in that area for about eight months until an opportunity came about as a photojournalist and an editor part-time. Um, you know, my boss at the time knew I wasn't just trying to stay in that area for my career, but I did enough to show that, hey, I wanted to be here. I may not have been the best master control operator, but I did enough to prove to him that, hey, I'm reliable. I show up when I need to show up. I'm on time. I'm going to do the job. So when an opportunity came up for a promotion, he put in a good word for in the other department, and I ended up getting that job as a photojournalist and an editor, where I eventually earned 2 Emmy awards for my work, a few Associated Press awards, and a few Syracuse Press Club awards. And so again, networking, and building that resume, being ready for the next step, wherever that is. Even though I knew that I didn't want to be master control, that was my step in the door to, do what eventually I was able to do. And because of my work as a photojournalist, I was also tapped to be the first, so one of two of the first certified drone pilots for the station and the viewing area. So I was kind of promoted as a drone pilot, sent to go train, sent to study for to earn my FAA certified drone license, and then that also kind of elevated, my resume, and the things that I did with it.
Sorry, just another quick question, if you don't mind.
Yep.
About your role as the master control operator. So how do you stay motivated in that position if you don't really like the job? Can you talk about the value of kind of putting in your time and kind of paying your dues?
Yeah, you just really have to know that you just have to be prepared, right? There's one thing, and I'm going to talk about it a little later. There's one thing that I noticed about me when it came to the things that I've been involved in, is just really trusting the timing of my life. Yeah, that wasn't what I wanted to do, but I knew that there was something better for me. So, you know, earn my stripes, pay my dues, do whatever I had to do to get to the next spot. Yeah, I'm not to say that I didn't have any frustrating moments, where, I was ready to make the next leap, and it wasn't time, or the position didn't open yet. There was times where maybe at the competition, where I thought, hey, this position is open, maybe I should just go to the other station and build there. But because I I wanted to grow, and the station allowed me to do things and to grow, and to find my footing. I stuck it out with CNY Central, and they rewarded me for that. They also know, like, if you have somebody that is a value to your company, if you want to keep that person, you also have to do your part as a employee, or sorry, as an employer, to make that person happy, and not just monetarily. Give that person the understanding that they are valuable to the greater good of this company by promoting them. And yes, definitely paying them more, but promoting them, giving them more opportunities to help them grow, and then in turn that also helps the company grow as well.
Yeah, I think it says a lot about your character that you kind of said you saw other positions available at other stations, but you were like, I really like this station. I'm going to stick it out with them. And I know that it'll come to fruition eventually. So thank you for that advice.
Yeah, no problem. And I'm not gonna lie, there was times where I was like foot halfway out the door, but um, hindsight, at the time, maybe I thought maybe should have left, but I'm glad that I did stay, and continue to build, because again, you know, they convinced me that I was valuable to them, and they were going to do what they needed to do to keep me there. And so, we were all able to grow together. And in turn, I was able to become one of the first drone pilots at the station. So they rewarded me in that. And because of my time in media and as a drone pilot, I was able to do some career coaching. So now that I'm, kind of comfortable, well, yeah, somewhat comfortable in my career and my role at the station, I'm always looking for ways to give back, whether that's at OCC, whether that's at Oswego, but especially as it pertains to students in the Syracuse City School District, because that's what I know. I see myself in these students because I am these students. I grew up in Syracuse, and the opportunities that these students have now that I didn't really have. I'm grateful to have the time to kind of explain to them that, hey, you guys have so many great opportunities to do so much more with it. So anytime that I can, Mr. Newell, who's on the call as well today, anytime that I was able to get a call and say, hey, my student would like to hear from somebody, a professional in these roles, could you come in and speak to them? Or hey, or I reached out to them, hey, I had a great time with the students last week. Let's set up a tour. I'll bring these students in so they can actually see what's happening. It's one thing to say, oh, this is happening, but let's get them in here so they can see what it takes to put on a television broadcast. Same thing with the drone. Once we launched the drone, which actually was 2 years yesterday, that we had, launched the drone, and I saw the the Facebook memory, so that's how I know it was 2 years yesterday. But when we did that, and we kind of shared the story, we got a lot of phone calls saying, "Hey, what is this? Tell us more about this." So I was able to then go out into the community and to schools and churches and things like that and talk about the drone, because now people are more interested in that. So that, for the, no pun intended, that kind of elevated my knowledge of the drone, but also it allowed me to talk more about it, which and which then led me to my next career opportunity. But before I do that, I do want to kind of bring in Mr. Newell, who he's kind of in the background and the bottom picture there with these students. I kind of want to bring him in to kind of discuss his role as a media communication teacher at ITC. And he's been teaching a little longer than me, and he's also an alum of Oswego. Can you hear me, Jeff?
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Q.
Yeah.
So, like I said, name is Jeff Newell. Met Q at SUNY Oswego. My first semester at SUNY Oswego, we were taking a programming and effects class. I had just transferred from a junior college, much like him, and I saw him all dressed up and making connections. And I said, "That's a professional right there." And he was a class above me, and I looked up to him. And it's interesting how our paths have crossed throughout our careers, and now we're colleagues. And I'm proud to call him a colleague and a friend. So I just wanted to preface with that. I actually have my classroom. My classroom is a virtual background. I have students who are doing an internship with WCNY right now, high school students that are being published doing educational videos for our elementary school kids. So I'm in another room in the school right now. So the media communications program was a program at ITC. When I graduated from Oswego with my master's, my plan was to teach cinema and screen studies, broadcasting, photography at SUNY Oswego. Got an email about this school I'd never heard of. I grew up in Syracuse, formerly Central Tech, now called the Institute of Technology at Syracuse Central, or ITC. They were looking for a teacher that had interest or experience in digital design, a teacher interested or experienced in photography, interest or experience in broadcasting. And I had just completed bachelor's and master's and all those programs through Oswego to try to teach at Oswego. So I thought this was a great opportunity. I interviewed with a great guy named Nick Lisi, worked for the Post Standard for many years, Associated Press, and basically within a month, I was teaching 3 different classes in the English department, teaching film, the technology department teaching broadcasting, and the art department teaching film, photography, and graphic design. The next year, Nick Lisi went on to become our PTech and CTE coordinator, our career and technical education coordinator, who to this day works with Q&I, very closely with Q&I, which is awesome. All of us being from the industry or studying from the industry. But I had to fill these shoes. I had this whole program now to develop. So wrote a curriculum approved in 2018 that includes 9th through 12th grade, intro to advanced level media with OCC college credits ingrained into the curriculum. It's 6 classes over the course of 4 years, pretty rigorous course, 30 students per class. We've got about 100 student waiting list. So I needed some support for sure. I had this industry standard studio that you see behind me that my kids are working in right now. And I needed to bring professionals in, and Quindell was one of the first professionals that I reached out to. It was actually Jennifer Sanders from News Channel 9, formerly News Channel 9, who came in, and Jackie Robinson, retired news anchor, who came in like, look at all that you have. What else do you need? I said, I need you. I need coaches. I need people to come in to talk to our kids from the industry. So the Stand newspaper is a newspaper at Syracuse University, their journalism program. They write stories on success and things going on the south side of Syracuse. And Ashley Kang, the director there, said, I need you to photograph, or one of your students to photograph, Emmy Award-winning photojournalist. And then I see Quindell Williams. And so I get really excited, and he comes in, and my kids are photographing him. He starts talking to my kids, and I'm just like, wow, being a graduate from the Syracuse City School District, I think one of his, if I remember correctly, one of his cousins was in my class even. And it just really responded to him saying, you graduated from Syracuse City School District, and you're Emmy Award winner now, and that's their dream. How do I get there? And I saw in that moment, I said, we need to start something with this. So we created these connections, as you're seeing on Quindell's slide right now, career coaching events. So on the top left and the bottom right, the top left is Quindell in our cafeteria talking to my students. I see one of my students right there. That was her freshman year. Quindell's talking to her about writing resumes, the interview process, how to ace the interview, working on internships, on-camera presence, technical skills. It's just invaluable. I mean, being one guy teaching these kids from 9th through 12th grade, all right? Whatever Mr. Knoll says, yep, that's true. To have these industry professionals come in and reinforce what I'm teaching, and having representation as well. Jennifer and Iris St. Moran from Spectrum News and Quindell the next year started what they call the Black Media Panel, where they came into ITC and held a Q&A session for my students. And this sort of stemmed from the first time Jennifer Sanders came into my class, and my student raised their hand and said, did you always see yourself being a news anchor? She said, no, when I was growing up, they're all middle-aged white men. And I realized that I was a middle-aged white man teaching these kids. So I couldn't, it was invaluable for them to come in and speak to the kids. And that just gained momentum, and it became career coaching events where once a marking period, they come in and work with the kids. And then it became a partnership where they're coming in monthly. Quindell would come in at a drop of a dime to work with my kids, give them advice about success through high school and college. I'm happy to say that the first class of kids that I've taught, 5 of them just graduated last spring with their broadcasting degrees from SUNY Oswego. So just so proud to see that my first class is doing that. I have many kids in the broadcasting program now at SUNY Oswego. So somebody who went to school for all these things, wanting to do all the things that same passions that Quindell had. I was drawn to his ambition and his passion, and right out of college, went right into teaching, a very unconventional path, as I'd never even taken a class in teaching once. Just prepared for teaching at higher ed, and teaching at the secondary level, as you can imagine, or as you know, is a completely different ball of wax. But just had so much support here, and just having that experience and having these career coaches help write your curriculum, help teach these kids, bring them into this industry standard studio. Like Quindell was saying, he noticed these things in his district that he wished that he had, and that really drives me every single day. That and Quindell's like an inspiration to my students, but he's also an inspiration to me and a great friend to me. And I just so thankful. Like we were saying at the before this meeting, like I wanted him to be a career coach with us forever, and we're still growing that program. But losing him as a career coach, now I have him as a colleague. And we're always forward thinking. I 100% like see things the way Quindell does. Is things came into my life at the right times, and and at the right pace and everything. And my teaching career started way before I thought I was ready, but just so much support from people like Quindell in the industry to create this. So now he's running this drone program, and I continue to have visions of how we can collaborate in the future, how our programs can possibly be one program. Where can we make this happen in the future? Across the street from me right now, there's a STEAM school that they're funding, where my TV studio might move over there. So Quindell and I had our students combine with drone footage and video footage from my students to create a promotional video for this, the Career and Technical Education Expo that recruits our 8th graders to come into our programs. And that was another moment where I was just like, this collaboration just keeps giving. And I mean, I'm seeing it in the kids and their growth and everything. And they still talk about Quindell. There are times they'd see Quindell outside of him working with them as career coaches, was when Quindell was working as a reporter, when Hillary Clinton came to ITC or Ivanka Trump came to ITC. He's always there with the camera and the press. Everyone's like, "There's Quindell right now. So go introduce yourself." He'll remember you. So I mean, having that representation, having that role model to look up to, and hearing Quindell's passion and drive, and having him reinforce what I teach, and now they're using the studio. They know they can do it. They know they can be, the next Q, and be the next great success from Syracuse City School District. And they're going to Oswego, and they're getting their bachelor's, and some of them are going on to get their master's. Some of them want to be teachers. Some of them want to go into the broadcasting industry, and they're setting out their applications now that Quindell helped them with. So I'm also very long-winded. I think that's why we're teachers, but I can't say enough about our partnership. So what he's done to help my program.
And thanks, Jeff. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Before I move on, Jeff said a lot there in terms of, the career coaching, and, Nick Lisi, who actually is a person who brought me in for my interview as well. But if it weren't for Jeff bringing me into these career coaching events, I wouldn't have really been on the radar of Syracuse City School District when an opportunity came up. So that actually led to my next opportunity in my career, now as my second career as a high school educator. So I currently teach remotely piloted aircraft systems, which is a long term that just basically means drones or unmanned aircraft systems. I teach that to 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. In the Syracuse City School District at PSLA at Fowler. I actually graduated from Nottingham High School, so I'm a Bulldog, but now, being at Fowler is interesting, but I enjoy it. But it's, again, I sat in the same kind of seat that these students sat in. So just being a student in the Syracuse City School District and just having these opportunities is great. I see somebody, Maggie, Fowler, go Fowler. And so, Jeff also talked about the career and technical education. So Jeff, started teaching, after college. My career, I did my career in broadcasting first, and then kind of landed in teaching unconventionally. Um, um, and so, that transition for me, because I had kind of that experience as a career coach, and you know just enjoying being around students who have a passion for something, because I see myself in them in terms of passion for something. It That my first year was really, it really wasn't a terrible transition. I came in and kind of hit the ground running. I didn't know everything. And, because of that, it was a new challenge for me, which it was exciting for me because I was, not only teaching, but I was learning while I was teaching, learning how to teach, and then learning some of the material about drones and all the exciting things that drones can do, that I didn't really know before I took the job as a teacher. And so, while I, was a broadcaster and worked the cameras, now I have my own classroom and I have all these tools and I don't want to call them toys, but these tools that are used to really do some amazing things. And so I've just been having a blast doing it. But also my first year happened, the second half of my first year, COVID hit, and the pandemic hit. So March of last year, we were all kind of forced to shut down, the schools closed, and we had to start teaching remotely, and we had to readjust and refocus. And while I can't really speak for all first year teachers, but what I can say is that because I came from a broadcasting background where, if anyone knows anything about TV broadcasting, anything and most often things do change on the dime. You could be working on the story for 4 hours and then breaking news happens and you have to find a way to readjust and refocus your energy on the bigger story, and put the other thing aside. I think that kind of helped me. And you know it wasn't smooth, but it was, I was able to kind of maneuver in it and readjust and quickly refocus. I had already kind of anticipated that something might be happening because I was still, paying attention to the news. So I had already started to put some things on our virtual learning thing. So my students were already kind of prepared in that mindset. So once we did go to remote learning, it wasn't as terrible. Yes, the hands-on part of that was lost and is lost, somewhat currently, because we're in a hybrid model right now. But I'm hopeful that we get that back. So most of the reason why these students take this class, or these classes like this, these CTE classes, is because you are actually touching the equipment that professionals use day to day. And so just trying to find a way to keep students engaged and interested in the content that you're doing, is the challenge still. But you know we're all finding ways around it. But the great thing is that drones can be used uh, in so many levels. So as a P-Tech program, we're teaching kids to be college ready. We're teaching them to be career ready. So all the things that I've learned, through OCC, through Oswego, as far as networking and building your resume and just being prepared for when it's your time to step up. I'm teaching my students now. So, I live that. So I'm able to teach that. Some of the things I'm not fully familiar with, I'm also still trying to learn. And so that P-Tech program allows these students to take college courses, earn college credit, and earn their college 2-year degree while they're in high school. And, it also allows them to get free tuition at MVCC. And then we have those career coaching opportunities and those career ready practices. And then one cool thing that really happened, so since we're not able to kind of be hands-on this year, two of my seniors successfully completed their Part 107 remote pilot certificate. So the same certificate that I had to get in order to fly drones commercially to earn compensation for it. Two of my all-star seniors, was ultra focused on making sure that even though they can't come in and touch the equipment like they used to in their freshman and sophomore years and part of their junior year, that they were going to do everything they could to, to get this, to pass this exam. So they just passed that in December. So congratulations to them. Actually, CNY Central, my former job, just came in and did a story on these two today. So they will be on CNY Central today at 6 o'clock. So hopefully I'll be done talking before that. So yeah, these two guys earn their pilot's license so they can, while in high school, get right to work right away using their drones. But again, that networking, right? Building those relations. These guys, did what they had to do. It was mainly them. I just, helped them along, taught them what I knew in terms of what would be on that exam. They pushed forward. And also the reason why I'm there with them is because I had to take my recertification test the same day. So the pressure was more on me to pass than it was for them. Thankfully, we all three of us passed. But, again, building those networks, and now I can use my networks to not only bring people in to speak to these kids, but to also give them jobs, or give them job opportunities that might be out there for them. And so this is kind of all the stuff that we do in that class, repair, building things.
Just a quick question, if you don't mind. So this is kind of for you and Jeff. So each of your career journeys took you in totally different directions, or slightly different directions than you originally pictured. Can you talk a little bit about how you kept your minds open to being flexible in your careers, and why it might be important for young professionals to take a chance outside of, what they always thought they might do?
Yeah, I can say that, I don't know. Every time I try to force myself into a place that I thought I was good at or thought I needed to be, life always kind of guided me in the way, like, really, honestly, like I would not be a teacher today if life didn't guide me there. And even when I was offered the job, I was like, what? Like, but now it makes sense to me because, as I think about it, everything that I did, whether it's high school and college and my professional career as a broadcaster, everything that I did kind of shaped what I do as a teacher now. So it makes perfect sense to me, and I'm able to kind of build on that and do something more with it. But I've kind of just started to listen to the timing of my life in terms of, like, you know what, eventually something's going to work out. It always does. It might not work out when I want it to work out. It might not work out exactly how I want it to work out, but something is going to come out of this that is going to be, positive or enlightening for me. And I can look back on it as a learning experience. And this might not happen for everybody. It's just something that I noticed about myself, and how I was able to, transition from different things to get to where I am currently.
Yeah, I can piggyback off that too. I mean, we both had very similar career aspirations. Mine more in film and TV. We both knew we wanted to do something with radio and TV at some point. I think both of us, Q, I think we had some great professors too that I think inspired us as well. But as far as keeping my mind open and being flexible, like I said, taken this job as a teacher instead of going into the film industry or working in television right away. I just saw it as an opportunity to teach my passions. And the second I heard students' voices and heard their stories, heard their voices, and listened to them and saw their vision come to life, it was a very easy, like it wasn't a decision. I knew what I was doing. And that slide that Quindell was working with that student, when I said that he was working with a freshman working on a resume, that's just not any freshman. That was a freshman that was a little prickly. She wasn't the easiest to work with as a freshman. But after that career coaching event, every single teacher in the school said she had a smile on her face. She was telling everybody about the professionals that she met from the television industry. And today, even during a pandemic, she came in today, had a mask on, and she was a news anchor right back here. And that all started with Quindell. So I see the sort of the power of working with these career coaches. Gave a high five to Nick Lisi on that day when that social studies teacher said that. Then the math teacher said, yeah, she was in great spirits and she's all inspired, and she's like knows why she wants to be at the school studying media. So for me, there's been no looking back, and it's just leaps and bounds. Came into this with a camcorder and a tripod, and then grew into this industry standard studio, and then brought professionals in, and now collaborating with professionals. Like I say about Oswego, it wasn't my dream school, but it ended up being the school that made my dreams come true. Same thing with being a teacher. It wasn't my dream job, but now it's the job that's making my dreams come true. And then I think it's a win-win because our students are doing the same thing as you see Quindell students what they're accomplishing just in his second year of teaching. Hasn't even had a full year with students doing a hands-on class, and look what they're doing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and just to echo that, because at the end of the day, it's really about the kids, right? As teachers, we're here because of these students. So, it's really up to us to do everything that we can to make sure that, that they succeed. If they succeed, then we succeed. And so, that's just really, my mindset going into this, because, I come from a different career. I've had success there. Now, okay, you know what? I need to be figuring out what I can do to give back to the next generation, right? How do I move these kids forward to because I clearly didn't see myself here when I was 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. And I'm sure they don't see where they're going to be in the next 10 to 15 years. So how do I kind of set them on the right path? And maybe some of them do, maybe some of them have a clear path of where they want to go. And that's great too. But I know most kids don't have that, that foresight to say, okay, well, I'm going to be doing X, Y, and Z. But my, true goal in being a educator, at least as far as I'm concerned, is to, help push them in a way to show them that, hey, you might not see the greatness that you have, or that the opportunities that you have right now, or what this can do for you, but trust me, it's going to guide you much further if you stick with it. And having said that, I want to quickly bring in Jasmine Price, who is also a Oswego alumni, who kind of took the more traditional route in terms of she knew she wanted to be a teacher, and now she's currently working to become an administrator as well. So I kind of want to give her a few quick minutes. I know we're running low on time here, but I want to give her a few brief minutes to, if she's still here. Are you still here, Jazz?
I'm here, Q. Hey.
All right. So if you can just kind of talk a little bit to your path, and why you do what you do as a teacher, and now as administrator for the kids.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Like Q said, my name is Jasmine Price. I actually am a product of Syracuse City School District as well. I graduated from Corcoran High School, so I'm a Cougar, even though I'm teaching and leading at Fowler right now. I'm forever a Cougar at heart. From Corcoran, I went to OCC, similarly to Quindell. And then after OCC, went to Oswego and got my bachelor's in creative writing and English. Little known fact, lots of people think that I 100% knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but I actually did not. When I started off, I wanted to work in media, and I also wanted to be a best-selling author. J.K. Rowling was my like kind of my idol. But so I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in creative writing in English, and I was also working for H&M at the time. And H&M, you know, kind of told me that when I got my degree, I could work for their magazine, and they would move me out to New York City, and I could work for their website, and everything was going to be great. But as soon as I got my bachelor's degree, they kind of were like, "Sorry, we can't do that for you." Um, and so I kind of didn't know what I was going to do. And it was through a conversation that I had with my father that I decided to go back to school and get my master's in teaching. And really, what he decided to do was ask me, like, what are you passionate about? He told me to do some soul searching. And what I ended up coming up with was I'm really passionate about reading and writing, and I'm also really passionate about social justice. And he said, "Well, Jazz, it sounds like you want to be a teacher." And I was like, no. So I decided to try it out, went back to Oswego because I loved it so much. And the first class that I took was a foundations course, EDU 501, with Dr. Pat Russo. And the entire course looks at the history of education through a social justice lens. And because I'm so passionate about social justice, that hooked me immediately. And from that class, that's when I knew that I wanted to be involved in education. From there, I got involved in the TLC program, which is a program at Oswego for people who are learning to be teachers and are also people of color. So I ended up getting my master's in 2014. And then became certified to teach English, adolescent English, and then went back and got my degree to be able to teach ENL. But not many people know that because that's a well kept secret. After that, I applied to work for the Syracuse City School District and was working as an English teacher for 6 years before I got promoted. So this is my 7th year with the district, and now I am an administrative intern working on something called a CAS, a Certificate of Advanced Study, which is what you need in order to become a vice principal. And I have my eyes set on becoming superintendent one day, but that's years and years down the road. I'm also an adjunct professor for SUNY Oswego. I, over the summers, co-teach EDU 501, which is the foundations course that I helped me fall in love with education. And I co-teach with the teacher who taught that when I was a student. And that has been ridiculously awesome, just to spend your summers talking about racism and sexism and classism and how we can all be better people and work toward the America that we say we want to be. So, and all of those things kind of enforce and inform who I am as a teacher and who I am as an educator, or who I am as a leader. So yeah, currently I am the administrative intern here at PSLA at Fowler, which is really cool because we have about like 14 different CTE programs, one of which you heard Quindell talk about, our RPAS program. And we have a ton of others. We have like 3 different academies here. So we've divided the school up into these different CTE programs so students can actually apply for the different programs that they're interested in going into. I'm also the president of our affinity group, our Black affinity group here at Fowler called BU, where Quindell is the vice president. And I'm also a board member of our district-wide affinity group called Kumba. So everything I do, I kind of like try to rope it back to social justice and rope it back to what I'm passionate about. And in that comes your networking, right? It's really important to network. And to be completely honest with you, I'm not really a social butterfly. And when I was getting my undergraduate degree, I kind of leaned on this promise from H&M, like, oh yeah, we're going to take care of you. And I did like no networking because I was afraid to. And it wasn't until I got into education that I started to realize like networking is kind of your lifeline, right? You have to network if you want to build connections and if you want to really accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life. And it can sometimes be difficult, but if you tether yourself to your purpose, if you always go back to your why, then it makes that networking a little bit easier. Like Quindell was saying, if you kind of focus on that one job or that one question or that one piece of thing that interests you and then dig deeper into that, networking opportunities will just like find you. My father has this saying that he always says, like, show me your friends and I'll show you your future. And really, he's kind of been trying to tell me you need to network through that phrase that he's always been saying. If you're interested in teachers, then you should probably talk to a bunch of teachers because they'll be able to tell you about, what curriculum looks like and what schools are looking like, what direction New York State education is going into, and what job opportunities are coming up. If you're interested in leadership, then you should probably talk to people who are interested in leadership because then they're going to pull you along. And another thing that really has been at the forefront of my mind over the past 7 years is this idea of making a contribution. So once you start to network and you make connections with other people, you cannot forget to kind of pay it forward and reach back to those who you can also pull along. Like it should be a cyclical thing, someone is going to help you. Therefore, you have to be cognizant of the fact that you have to help somebody. And I think that that's what we're doing as educators. We think back to all of the people who gave us great advice, who tapped us on the shoulder, who put a bug in our ear. And now we're trying to use the resources that we've accumulated over the years to make sure that the next generation can have what we had and, hopefully even more. So I hope I hit at everything. Thanks for having me. And Quindell, thanks for tapping me on the shoulder. Thanks for inviting me to speak.
Just really quick, Jasmine, we had a question come in, if you don't mind. Were there any transferable skills that you brought from your degree in creative writing or from your involvement at Oswego that helped you in your teaching career?
Absolutely. So as a writer, you have to be very creative. Whether you go like through the creative writing route or whether you're trying to do nonfiction or whether you're, trying to write a story or whether you're doing some sort of social media, there's an element of creativity throughout all of that. And in order to be a teacher, you also have to be very creative, especially during the middle of a global pandemic, right? Teaching is all about being creative because the classroom that you have is full of individuals, and each one of those individuals learns in their own specific way. So you have to be creative about the content that you're teaching and how you're going to mold it in a way that's going to be palatable for all of the kids in your classroom. So I'd say yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I just want to wrap. I know we're going into overtime here. I apologize to to the organizers. Thank you again, Jasmine, for speaking and being here. And thank you again, Jeff. I just want to kind of leave you all with some advice that, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit, but network. It's key. And, I'm not really, I'm social, like I know how to interact with people, but like outside of that, like I'm really like into my like, let's put it this way, quarantine wasn't terrible for me because I like being home. I'm a homebody. I don't like going out, and yeah, this is a great excuse for me to not be among a lot of people. So, but having said that, I do understand the power of networking. And so I try to put myself into places where, or people try to put me into places where they think that I can, elevate to the next level. And so to Jasmine's point, what she said about, her father, show me your friends and I'll show you your future, is really, connecting with people who want to see you make it to the next level as well. Seizing that opportunity, you never know what's going to lead you. each one of us kind of talked about, we saw ourselves in doing one thing, and it ended up being something, you know, different, kind of along the same lines, but still different. You know, I thought I wanted to be in politician when I first started college, and yeah, it just was not for me. But I ended up finding something that I was passionate about and stuck with it, and I seized every opportunity that I thought would help change my life, and so I took advantage of that. Trust the timing of your life. You know, again, there's been plenty of times where I wanted to do something, wanted to be a part of something, and you know, even before I got this job, you know, I thought I wanted to be a PR director for a college or something, and I was trying my hardest, and I was applying and applying, and you know, I had an interview, and it just did not pan out. And then literally the week after that, I got an email or a phone call saying, "Hey, this opportunity came up at Syracuse City School District. We remember you from coming in as a career coach, talking about drones to our students. We know that you are, you know, you come back and you give back. Would you be interested?" And I hopped on that immediately, because I'm just like, yes, you know, I was looking for other opportunities, trying to get through another door, and then a window of opportunity somewhere opened up, and now it makes so much more sense to me to be here than it would have been where I was trying to go. But I had to be ready when that time came, right? I had to put in the work, put in the networking, putting myself in places where people are going to remember me and know that I am going to be the person for the job. You know, reaching out to people who may not be able to help me directly, but they know somebody indirectly that can help me, and just maintaining positive relationships, no matter, you know, how long, you know, it's been since you've spoken to someone. Just maintaining those positive relationships, but being ready when your time has come. So building that resume, and again, networking. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. You're gonna make mistakes. Making mistakes has actually also been a key part of my success, because I was able to, you know, maneuver around that, and then continue to build that resume, and then give back and mentor. So that's why I'm you know, grateful to be here today, to speak to you all. Anytime the Alumni Association calls me and I have the time, I'm there, just because it gives me, you know, I'm reminded of the time when I was sitting on your end as a student, and you know, connecting to those alumni who came back to give me a hand up, and I want to be a part of that same, you know, branch of alumni who who, you know, no matter what, is still looking back in order to move forward. So yeah, I thank you all for joining me. This is some of the things that I've done with Oswego, and currently what I do. Jasmine mentioned being a part of the BU as the vice president, you know, advocating for our students of color. Same thing that I did while in college, I'm also doing as a professional, finding ways to connect the two, and you know, also being a part of the On Point for College board of directors as well. This is my contact information. If you want to reach out to me, feel free. Email, LinkedIn, Twitter. I respond to them all. Might not respond right away all the time, but I will get back to you if you have questions, and if you know, if you need me to connect you to other people, I can definitely do that as well. So I will stop talking, Kayla. I apologize. Thanks for thanks for inviting me.
Thanks. Thank you, Quindell. So I just want to say thank you so much to all, everyone for participating, and to Quindell for inspiring all of us, and all the great advice that also came from Jeff and Jasmine. So we hope that you all attend the final Imagine 2021 program, the Alumni Mentor Networking Fair being held on Wednesday, February 10th at 4 p.m. via Zoom. Registration for the fair will be open next week. So check out the Imagine 2021 website link in the chat for more details. And thank you again, and have a great evening.